Hello, this is Mr. Chance, and in this video, we're going to look at story elements. Story elements. Okay, this is a story map. To be honest, this one's a little elementary school, but it was the first one I found on my computer, and all of the story elements are the same. They're the same if you're in the third grade or if you're in the eighth grade. The only thing that really changes is kind of the presentation that goes along with it. So I figured we'll start with some basics. We'll start with some basics. Things that all stories have are on this story map. So let me get my arrow so that I have something to point with, right? All stories have characters, okay? So for example, unsurprisingly, in the story Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, one of the characters is Tom Sawyer. And you need to pay attention to the characters in the story. You need to understand the characters. Listen to the things they say. Watch the things that they do. And try to understand the story from that character's point of view. Right, and that's one of the things that we're going to do with our literature. All right, so on here, for example, it pick some characteristics of your story, that the characters that you're reading, right? You know, the first story that the seventh grade is going to be reading is The Golden Fleece. Main character is Jason. We're going to need to look at Jason. What kind of person is Jason? Why does Jason do the things that he does? Okay, characters. Stories also have a setting. Setting is time and place, right? Time and place. For most of the stories that we're going to be reading in class, setting is going to change, right? Because characters are going to move from place to place. Time will pass in the stories. Okay, so keep that in mind. But setting is important. Jason of the Argonauts in The Golden Fleece acts the way he does because he is a young man who lives in a particular time in a particular place. This is different than, say, the characters in The Midsummer Night's Dream that the eighth grade will be reading. Those are different characters who live in a different time and in a different place. And because of this, they have different ways of acting, different ways of looking at the world. This is something we also need to pay attention to. Any story will have at least one major problem, right? The main character is usually the one with this problem. Again, Golden Fleece, Jason has, well, he's got several problems. He's got one big problem early on in the story that kind of sets things in motion, right? In A Midsummer Night's Dream, there's four main characters, two couples, right? Two couples, two men, two women. They have similar problems, but not identical problems, okay? Actually, there's three couples, but the other one, well, we'll get to it. You'll see. Well, there's four couples. Oh, my goodness. But the fourth couple's they're minor. All right. So those problems are what drive the story. It's what makes things happen. The characters have particular ways of looking at the world. They have particular personalities. And because of that, they approach their problems in ways that to us might not make sense. And I'm like, well, I would never do that. Well, okay, yeah, that's probably true, but I'm not a character in The Golden Fleece. I never sailed with the Argonauts, right? Just never happened. So it's not about what I would do. It's about what the characters would do, right? And I need to understand it from their point of view, okay? And then by the end of the story, these problems are going to get solved somehow, right? They might get solved in a good way and people live happily ever after. They might get solved in a bad way and people do not live happily ever after. Might be somewhere in between. Depends on the story. Depends on the story. In longer stories, one problem will get solved and that might cause more problems. Okay. So this is a tool that you're going to use, not this particular graphic organizer necessarily, right? But different types of story maps or tools that you're going to use with your reading to help make sure you're understanding to the best of your ability what's happening in the story, why it's happening, and who's making it happen and who it's happening to. Okay, that's the important part. I think if we can accomplish that with the literature that we're reading, we will have accomplished a whole lot. Okay, so like I said, that's it for this video. Again, no notes, no real notes to take in this one. So I suppose I should stop stuttering and just go ahead and end this video. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to seeing you in class. Bye-bye.